The city was alive with lights and sounds, but inside the grand mansion, everything was quiet and still. The billionaire sat in his study, looking out the large glass windows at the view of the city below. He had everything anyone could dream of, but he often felt a sense of emptiness in the silence of his home. Despite the wealth and success, he cared deeply about the people around him, especially those who worked in his house and offices. He believed that kindness was just as important as money, even if most people only focused on the riches. Across town, in a small, modest apartment, a maid and her daughter were preparing for the day. Their home was simple, with a few worn pieces of furniture, but it was filled with love and warmth. The mother worked hard, cleaning homes, doing laundry, and running errands for wealthy families in the area. Every coin she earned went towards supporting her little family. Her daughter was only 10 years old, but she was sharp and responsible beyond her years. She helped with the housework, took care of meals, and made sure her mother had some rest after long hours of work. The daughter admired the billionaire from afar. She had seen him at the houses where her mother worked, always polite and generous, yet distant, wrapped in his own world of business. There was something about him that felt different from other rich people she had encountered. He treated everyone with respect, listened when someone spoke, and rarely ignored the small details that mattered to people. She often imagined what it would be like to meet him one day outside the walls of his mansion, not as an employee or guest, but as a person who could change lives with a simple action. That morning, the mother hurried out to work, leaving a small breakfast for her daughter. The daughter watched her leave, feeling a familiar worry in her chest. Lately, the neighborhood had been restless. People argued in the streets, and there were whispers about trouble brewing. The daughter couldn't explain it fully, but she sensed danger, especially toward her mother. She tried to focus on her schoolwork and chores, but a knot of unease stayed in her stomach. As she swept the small living room, she noticed shadows moving near the alley behind their building. At first, she thought it was just kids playing, but then she realized the figures were watching her mother's workplace. A chill ran down her spine. She remembered the stories her mother had told her about people who were greedy, angry, and sometimes violent. Her instincts screamed that something bad might happen, but she didn't know how to stop it. Hours passed, and the daughter kept glancing at the clock, counting the minutes until her mother would return. She tried to stay busy, folding clothes and cleaning the small apartment, but her mind wandered to worst-case scenarios. She thought about her mother being hurt, about being alone, and about how she wished someone stronger, someone who could protect them, was nearby. Meanwhile, at the mansion, the billionaire was going through his daily routine, answering calls, reading reports, and signing documents. Despite the busy schedule, he paused often to think about the people who worked for him, especially the ones who showed loyalty and honesty. His thoughts often drifted to the maid, the woman who worked for him without complaint, always polite and always dedicated. He had noticed her daughter before, the little girl with sharp eyes and a quiet strength, who always tried to help her mother in any way she could. He respected her courage, though he had never spoken to her personally. There was a feeling in him that something in that little girl was extraordinary. Back at the apartment, the daughter prepared a small snack for when her mother returned, hoping to ease the long day ahead. She heard voices outside, loud and angry, and she peered through the window. A group of men had gathered near the entrance to her mother's workplace. She could see them arguing, waving their arms, and one of them pushing another. Panic started to rise in her chest. Her mother could be in danger at any moment. She felt a mixture of fear and determination. She couldn't just sit and wait. She needed help, someone powerful, someone who could intervene before things got worse. She remembered the billionaire, the man her mother often spoke about with respect. He was someone who could make a difference if he knew what was happening. Without hesitation, she grabbed her jacket, her heart pounding, and ran out of the apartment. She ran through the crowded streets, dodging people and cars, shouting for anyone who would listen, but no one paid attention. Her only thought was reaching the mansion as fast as possible. Every second felt like an hour, and every step made her heart beat faster. Daughter reached the gates of the mansion, her small hands shaking as she rang the bell repeatedly. A security guard appeared, looking down at her with confusion. She gasped for breath, her voice trembling as she shouted, "They beat my mom. She's dying. Please, you have to help." The guard's eyes widened at her urgency, and without a word, he led her inside. The daughter ran through the marble halls, following the guard until they reached the billionaire's study. The billionaire looked up from his desk, startled by the sudden entrance of the young girl. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with fear and desperation. He could see the urgency in her expression, the kind of urgency that demanded immediate attention. He stood up, his chair scraping the floor, and asked in a calm but firm voice, "What happened? Tell me everything." The daughter took a deep breath and explained, her words tumbling out in a rush. She told him about the men outside her mother's workplace, the violence, and her fear that her mother might not survive. She didn't pause, didn't think about the walls she was crossing, the security around the billionaire, or the disbelief anyone might have. She only knew her mother needed help, and this man was the only one who could provide it. The billionaire felt a surge of concern. His mind raced, calculating the fastest way to reach her mother and ensure her safety. He grabbed his coat, signaling the guards to prepare, and without hesitation, they moved as one. The daughter followed, feeling a flicker of hope. She had come to the right person, someone who could act, someone who could change the course of events in minutes. As they rushed toward the vehicle waiting outside, she held onto a sliver of belief that everything would be all right, even though fear still gripped her heart. The city streets seemed different as they drove toward her mother. The billionaire kept glancing at the daughter, offering quiet reassurances. "Stay with me, she will be okay," he said, his voice steady. The daughter nodded, clinging to the words, to the presence of someone powerful who was now on their side. She thought about her mother, about the hardships they had endured, and about the possibility of seeing her alive and well again. Each moment felt like a lifetime, but she held on to hope with every beat of her heart. At that moment, neither the billionaire nor the daughter spoke much. Words felt unnecessary. The determination in their eyes, the silent understanding of urgency, spoke louder than anything could. The city blurred outside the car windows, lights streaking past, as they raced toward a destiny that would change their lives forever. The daughter held onto the seat, feeling a mix of fear, hope, and faith that the person she had run to would not let anything happen to her mother. They were about to step into a moment that no one could forget, a moment that would test courage, compassion, and the power of action when time was of the essence. And in the quiet determination of a young girl and the swift response of a man used to controlling empires, a story was beginning that would show that bravery and kindness could make miracles happen, even in the darkest of moments. The daughter's heart pounded as the car sped through the crowded streets. Every bump on the road made her jump, and every honk of a horn made her flinch. She kept glancing at the billionaire beside her, a man who looked calm but determined, as if he had faced crises like this before and knew exactly what to do. The security guards followed closely in another car, their faces serious, eyes scanning the roads ahead. There was no room for mistakes. Meanwhile, back at the mother's workplace, the scene was tense. The men who had started the commotion were not expecting anyone to intervene so quickly. They argued loudly, their voices echoing in the empty streets around the building. One of them grabbed the mother roughly, and she tried to shield herself, shouting for help, but there was no one nearby to hear her cries. Fear mixed with pain made her knees buckle, and she struggled to stay upright. She kept thinking about her daughter, praying silently that she was safe. The daughter thought about her mother constantly. She remembered the mother's tired but kind smile, the way she always made sure there was food on the table, even after long hours of work. Her hands clenched in determination, and she whispered, "Hang on, Mom. I'm bringing help. You'll be okay." The billionaire drove with focused intensity. He had faced dangerous situations before, but this was different. This was personal. He could feel the urgency and responsibility weigh heavily on him. He checked his phone briefly to coordinate with local authorities and the medical team, ensuring that help would arrive at the same time they did. Every second mattered, and he knew that the mother's life depended on quick action. As they approached the building, the daughter's eyes widened in horror. She could see the figures outside, the same men who had been threatening her mother, and she saw her mother on the ground, struggling to stand. Panic rose inside her, but the billionaire's hand on her shoulder steadied her. "Stay calm. We're here now," he said, his voice firm but soothing. She nodded, gripping his coat tightly, her small hands trembling. The security team moved quickly, surrounding the men and blocking any escape. The billionaire stepped out of the car, his presence commanding attention. The men froze, not expecting someone of his stature to appear in person. He didn't shout or threaten. He simply walked toward them with unwavering confidence. His gaze was firm, and there was a quiet authority in the way he stood. It was enough to make the attackers hesitate. The mother's eyes widened when she saw him. She had never imagined that the billionaire would come for her, that someone so powerful would risk themselves to help a maid he barely knew. She felt a surge of relief and hope. With the daughter by his side, the billionaire helped her mother up gently. She winced from the pain, but the firm support of someone strong made it bearable. The security guards took control of the situation, separating the attackers and making sure they could not cause further harm. The billionaire called the authorities immediately, giving a clear account of what had happened and ensuring that justice would be served. He refused to let this incident go. Unnoticed, no one should feel powerless in a moment of crisis, and he made that clear with every action. Once the immediate threat was handled, the billionaire guided the mother and daughter into his car. He instructed one of the guards to follow with medical professionals who were ready to provide care. The mother leaned against him, exhausted and still trembling, while the daughter held her hand tightly, whispering reassurances. The mother managed a weak smile, grateful for the quick thinking and courage of the young girl and the man who had answered her call. During the drive to the hospital, the billionaire stayed close to the mother, speaking softly, asking questions about her condition, and making sure she was comfortable. He had a natural way of making people feel safe, even in moments of extreme fear. The daughter looked at him with admiration. She realized that bravery was not just about strength or money. It was about caring enough to act when someone needed help. At the hospital, the mother was immediately taken to the emergency room. The daughter followed, holding the billionaire's hand, feeling a mix of anxiety and hope. She watched as doctors and nurses worked quickly, attending to her mother's injuries. The billionaire stayed nearby, quietly coordinating with the staff to ensure that everything was done efficiently. He even arranged for someone to stay with the daughter so she wouldn't be alone during the waiting period. Hours passed slowly. The daughter paced the waiting area, her mind racing with every possible outcome. She thought about what might have happened if she had not acted quickly, if she had hesitated. Her heart ached at the thought, but she also felt proud. She had made a difference, and her courage had brought her mother help in time. The billionaire stayed with her, offering comfort through his presence. He didn't speak much, but she could feel his support, and it was enough to calm her racing thoughts. Finally, a doctor approached them, a reassuring smile on their face. "She's going to be okay," the doctor said. The daughter felt tears of relief fill her eyes. She hugged her mother tightly as the billionaire looked on, satisfied that the immediate danger had passed. The mother whispered words of gratitude, overwhelmed by the kindness and bravery of the people who had come to their aid. In the following days, the mother recovered steadily. The daughter stayed close, helping with small tasks and making sure her mother had everything she needed. The billionaire visited occasionally, checking in on both of them, offering support and encouragement. He ensured that they felt safe and valued, not just as employees or acquaintances, but as human beings deserving of respect and protection. The incident left a lasting impact on the daughter. She realized that courage was not always about fighting. Sometimes it was about asking for help, trusting the right people, and taking action when it mattered most. She admired the billionaire not for his wealth, but for his willingness to step in and protect those who had no one else to turn to. She learned that true strength often came from kindness and empathy. The mother, too, was changed by the experience. She felt a deep sense of gratitude and respect for the people who had risked themselves for her well-being. She promised herself that she would continue to teach her daughter the importance of courage, compassion, and standing up for what was right, no matter how small or powerless one might feel. As life slowly returned to normal, the bond between the daughter, her mother, and the billionaire grew stronger. They were no longer just people from different worlds. They were connected by an experience that showed the power of bravery, trust, and human kindness. The daughter often thought about that day, about the fear and the hope, and about the moment she had made the choice to act. It was a choice that changed everything, not just for her family, but for everyone involved. Even in the quiet moments, the daughter remembered the feeling of running through the streets, the fear and urgency in her chest, and the relief when help arrived. She knew that she would never forget it. The billionaire had shown her that one person's courage could inspire another, and together, people could overcome even the most frightening challenges. It was a lesson that would stay with her forever, shaping the way she faced the world and the way she treated others. The city continued its usual rhythm, unaware of the small lives that had been touched and transformed by a single act of bravery and compassion. But for the daughter, her mother, and the billionaire, life had changed in ways that could never be measured by money or status. They had experienced something far more valuable, the power of human connection, courage, and care, and that power would guide them in the days to come, reminding them that even in the darkest moments, hope could be found, and heroes could appear when least expected. The mother was resting in the hospital bed, her face pale but slowly regaining color. The daughter sat beside her, holding her hand tightly, not wanting to let go. The fear that had gripped her earlier was fading, replaced by a cautious hope. She looked at her mother and whispered, "You're going to be okay. I promised I'd bring help, and we made it." The billionaire stood quietly nearby, observing the scene. He didn't need words to show concern. His presence alone was reassuring. He could see the relief in the daughter's eyes and the gratitude in the mother's. He had dealt with countless emergencies in his life, but this one felt different. It wasn't about business or money. It was about real people in real danger. The vulnerability in the mother and the courage in the daughter touched him deeply. As the doctors worked, the billionaire asked the daughter gently to tell him exactly what had happened. She recounted the events once more, describing the men, the struggle, and her frantic run to his mansion. She spoke quickly, almost unable to stop herself, because she needed to release the tension that had been building for hours. The billionaire listened carefully, nodding, taking in every detail, ensuring he understood the entire situation. His mind was already considering what needed to be done next to make sure justice was served. Meanwhile, the mother was receiving the necessary treatment. The doctors worked efficiently, checking for injuries and monitoring her vitals. She winced at some of the procedures, but she was reassured by the daughter's presence and the billionaire's calm demeanor. For the first time since the attack, she felt safe. The sense of security was overwhelming, and tears filled her eyes. She had never imagined that someone so powerful could care so deeply about her life. The daughter, seeing her mother in pain, felt a new determination rising within her. She realized that being brave didn't stop after seeking help. It meant staying strong until the danger had completely passed. She held her mother's hand and whispered encouragements, telling her everything would be fine. She was small, but her spirit was strong, and the mother drew strength from her child's unwavering support. The billionaire made a few quick calls, coordinating with the police to ensure the attackers were caught. He was meticulous, giving every detail he had gathered and making sure that the authorities understood the urgency of the situation. It was not enough for him to stop at the immediate rescue. He wanted to make sure that the perpetrators could not harm anyone else. He arranged for legal counsel to be ready, just in case it was needed. His experience and influence allowed him to act swiftly, turning the chaotic situation into an organized plan for justice. The daughter watched in awe as the billionaire handled everything with calm efficiency. She noticed how he treated everyone with respect, even in a tense situation. He spoke clearly, listened carefully, and made sure that everyone involved felt heard. It was a lesson in leadership and empathy that the daughter would remember forever. She realized that courage wasn't just about physical action. It was also about making the right decisions calmly under pressure. Hours passed, and the mother slowly regained her strength. The doctors confirmed that she was stable, and the worst was over. The daughter finally allowed herself to breathe, relief washing over her in waves. She hugged her mother gently, feeling the warmth and life returning to her after the terrifying ordeal. The billionaire remained nearby, quietly observing, ensuring that the mother was truly safe before he left the hospital. As the evening approached, the daughter began to ask questions. She wanted to understand more about the billionaire, how he had known what to do, and why he had cared so much. He smiled softly and explained that everyone had the capacity to help others, and sometimes it just required noticing when someone was in trouble and acting without hesitation. He praised her bravery, telling her that it was her quick thinking and courage that had brought help in time. The daughter's chest swelled with pride, knowing that she had played an essential part in saving her mother. The mother, still weak but alert, joined the conversation. She expressed her deep gratitude, overwhelmed by the generosity and bravery she had witnessed. She hugged the daughter tightly, whispering words of love and thanks. The billionaire nodded, acknowledging the bond between mother and child and the importance of family. He had seen many things in his life, but the strength of this small family touched him more than any business victory ever could. During the night, the hospital room grew quiet, but the daughter stayed awake, watching her mother sleep. She reflected on everything that had happened and realized how quickly life could change. One moment, things were normal, and the next, danger had appeared. But she also realized the power of quick action, courage, and trust. She thought about the billionaire, his calm presence, and how he had taken control of a frightening situation without making her feel scared. She admired his kindness and strength. The mother woke occasionally, needing comfort or reassurance, and the daughter was always there, ready to provide it. The billionaire checked in frequently, making sure they had everything they needed. He even arranged for meals and small comforts to be brought to the hospital, showing that caring was not just about solving problems but also about attending to the little details that made people feel safe and valued. The daughter began to understand the importance of helping others. She realized that courage could inspire courage, and that kindness could ripple through lives in ways that were sometimes unexpected. She saw how one person's action could make a huge difference, and she promised herself that she would carry that lesson forward in her own life. Over the next few days, the mother's condition improved steadily. The daughter continued to stay by her side, and the billionaire occasionally visited, checking on both of them. He spoke softly, encouraging the daughter to continue her studies and reassuring her that bravery and compassion were qualities that would guide her throughout life. He emphasized that her actions had saved her mother, and that was something extraordinary for someone so young. The attackers were arrested quickly, thanks to the detailed information provided by the daughter and the swift action of the authorities. The mother and daughter felt a sense of relief knowing that they were safe from further harm. The billionaire ensured that the legal process was followed carefully, showing the daughter and her mother that justice could be achieved without fear or compromise. The daughter felt proud of what she had accomplished, but she also felt a sense of humility. She understood that bravery was not about being fearless. It was about acting despite fear. She had faced one of the scariest moments of her life and had chosen to act for the sake of someone she loved. That choice had made all the difference. The mother, now stronger and more aware of the support around her, expressed deep gratitude to the billionaire. She knew that without his help, things could have turned out very differently. She promised to continue teaching her daughter about courage, resilience, and the importance of standing up for what was right. She wanted her daughter to grow up knowing that actions, no matter how small or large, could change lives. As life began to settle back into routine, the bond between the billionaire, the mother, and the daughter grew stronger. They had shared an experience that went beyond wealth, power, or status. They had experienced the power of human connection, bravery, and empathy. The daughter felt a new sense of confidence and purpose, knowing that she had the ability to make a difference in the world around her. The billionaire continued to follow their progress, not as a distant observer but as someone genuinely concerned for their well-being. He encouraged the daughter to pursue her dreams and reassured the mother that she was not alone. Their lives had intersected in a moment of crisis, and that intersection had created bonds that would last a lifetime. The daughter reflected on the events repeatedly, understanding that her quick thinking and courage had saved her mother. She realized that heroes could appear in unexpected forms and that ordinary people could perform extraordinary acts. She also learned that help and kindness could come from anyone, even someone she had only admired from afar. As the days turned into weeks, the mother fully recovered, and the daughter continued to grow stronger in her confidence and resilience. The billionaire remained a guiding presence in their lives, offering support and encouragement when needed. The experience had changed all of them, showing that courage, empathy, and quick action could truly transform lives. The daughter often remembered that terrifying day, the fear and panic, and the relief when help arrived. She understood that life was fragile, but also that hope and courage could prevail in even the darkest moments. She vowed to carry the lessons she had learned forward, using her experiences to inspire and help others whenever possible. The city went on with its usual rhythm, unaware of the small but powerful story unfolding within it. But for the daughter, her mother, and the billionaire, life had been changed forever. They had discovered the true meaning of bravery, the importance of compassion, and the strength that could be found in human connection. And as they moved forward, they knew that the courage and kindness they had witnessed and shared would continue to guide them through the challenges that lay ahead. The days after the incident were a mix of relief and adjustment. The mother was slowly regaining her strength, and the daughter stayed close, making sure everything around her mother was perfect. The small apartment, once filled with fear, now felt warmer, safer, and full of quiet determination. Even in recovery, the mother's mind wandered to the attack and the people who had caused it. But with the support of her daughter and the billionaire, she began to feel that they had regained control of their lives. The daughter often thought about that day, replaying every detail in her mind. She remembered how quickly she had acted, the fear in her chest, and the relief when help arrived. She realized that her bravery had made a real difference. She felt a sense of pride but also responsibility. Life was fragile, and courage mattered more than she had ever understood. She began to see that even a small person could influence events in meaningful ways. The billionaire continued to check on them regularly. He visited the mother at home, bringing supplies and gifts that made daily life easier. Simple things like food, fresh clothes, and household items brought comfort, but it was his presence and attention that mattered most. He treated them not as employees or strangers, but as people he genuinely cared about. The daughter watched him with admiration. She understood that true power was not about wealth or influence alone. It was about compassion and the willingness to act when needed. One afternoon, the mother and daughter sat together, talking about the future. The mother explained how important it was to stay strong and keep moving forward. She reminded her daughter that courage was not just about facing fear, but also about using what they had learned to help others. The daughter nodded, feeling the weight of these lessons. She knew that life would not always be easy, but she was ready to face challenges with her mother by her side and the billionaire's guidance nearby. Meanwhile, the authorities had completed their work. The men responsible for the attack were held accountable. They faced legal consequences for their actions, which reassured the mother and daughter. The billionaire had ensured that everything was handled correctly, without cutting corners or allowing fear to influence decisions. His dedication to justice left a strong impression on the daughter. She saw that courage was not just in action but also in standing for what was right, even when it was difficult. With time, the mother's health improved steadily. She was able to walk longer distances, cook meals, and even take small trips outside. The daughter was always by her side, helping with chores, keeping spirits high, and encouraging her to stay positive. The bond between them grew stronger than ever. They had faced a terrifying event together, and the shared experience had deepened their trust and love. The billionaire continued to be a guiding presence. He encouraged the daughter to pursue her education, to dream big, and to believe in herself. He told her that bravery and kindness were qualities that could lead to great success and happiness. The daughter listened carefully, absorbing every word. She realized that the lessons she had learned in fear and crisis were shaping her into a strong, thoughtful young person. The mother also began to think about her own future. She had always worked tirelessly to provide for her daughter, but now she wanted to focus on building a life that was safer and more fulfilling. With the billionaire's help, she explored opportunities for better housing, community support, and small business ventures. She knew that independence and stability were important for her daughter's growth and well-being. The daughter, excited by these ideas, offered her own thoughts and helped her mother plan each step. The neighborhood, once a place of fear, slowly began to feel safer. People became more aware of each other, looking out for signs of trouble and helping when needed. The mother and daughter felt the positive changes in small ways. Neighbors greeted them kindly, the streets seemed calmer, and the sense of community grew. The billionaire's influence had extended beyond their lives, reminding them that actions of courage and kindness could ripple outward and create broader change. One evening, the mother and daughter invited the billionaire to dinner at their modest apartment. They prepared a simple meal, but it was made with love and care. The billionaire accepted the invitation, humbled by the gesture. During the dinner, they shared stories, laughed at small mistakes, and enjoyed the simple pleasures of being together. The daughter noticed how the billionaire listened attentively, treated everyone with respect, and made each person feel valued. She realized that leadership and kindness were inseparable when someone truly cared about others. The mother spoke openly about her gratitude. She thanked him not just for saving her life but for teaching her and her daughter about the power of trust, courage, and compassion. The billionaire smiled, reminding her that the courage of the daughter had made it all possible. She hugged her daughter, tears in her eyes, proud of the bravery that had brought help in time. The daughter, shy but proud, felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The story of that day remained with all of them. They remembered the fear, the urgency, and the relief, but also the strength that came from action and trust. The daughter began to understand that life was full of unexpected challenges, but with courage, empathy, and the right support, even the most frightening situations could be overcome. She knew that the lessons she had learned would guide her through the rest of her life. The mother and daughter also realized that they were not alone. They had people who cared about them, who would act when it mattered, and who would ensure that justice was served. This realization gave them confidence to move forward, to rebuild their lives, and to face future challenges with hope and determination. The daughter felt a sense of purpose growing within her. She wanted to help others in the same way she had been helped, to make a difference whenever she could. The billionaire continued to support them in subtle but meaningful ways. He provided guidance, resources, and encouragement, always respecting their independence while offering a safety net. The daughter watched and learned, seeing how one person's actions could have a profound impact on the lives of others. She was inspired not only by his strength but also by his empathy and sense of responsibility. As the weeks passed, the mother regained her full strength. She resumed her work, more confident and cautious, knowing that she had support and protection. The daughter continued her studies and small chores, becoming more independent and self-assured. They had survived a terrifying event, but they had also grown stronger because of it. Their experiences had taught them resilience, courage, and the importance of helping and trusting others. The bond between the daughter, the mother, and the billionaire deepened over time. They shared meals, conversations, and moments of laughter. The billionaire continued to guide and encourage them, always showing that real power was in compassion and decisive action. The daughter learned that courage was not just about facing immediate danger, but also about making thoughtful, positive choices in life. One day, the daughter asked the billionaire about his own experiences with fear and responsibility. He shared stories from his past, explaining how he had faced challenges, made tough decisions, and learned the value of empathy and trust. The daughter listened intently, absorbing each lesson and imagining how she could apply them in her own life. She understood that being brave also meant being thoughtful, considerate, and prepared to act for the benefit of others. The mother smiled as she watched her daughter engage with the billionaire. She realized that the young girl had grown in courage and understanding beyond her years. The daughter's experience had shaped her into a thoughtful, resilient person who was ready to face the world. The mother felt pride and relief, knowing that they had survived and learned from their ordeal. Even as life returned to a sense of normalcy, the memory of the attack and the rescue remained. It was a reminder of the fragility of life, the importance of courage, and the value of kindness. The daughter, mother, and billionaire knew that these lessons would stay with them forever, guiding their actions, shaping their relationships, and inspiring them to make positive choices. The daughter reflected on how a single moment of bravery had changed everything. She understood that being courageous did not mean being fearless, but rather acting despite fear to protect those she loved. She realized that kindness and courage could ripple outward, affecting lives far beyond her own. The mother, fully recovered, supported her daughter's growth, teaching her to embrace these lessons in daily life. The billionaire continued to play a role in their lives, not as a distant benefactor, but as a mentor and friend. He encouraged the daughter to pursue her dreams, to help others, and to never forget the power of action. Together, they had created a bond built on trust, courage, and shared experience, a bond that would last a lifetime. Through it all, the daughter learned that life could be both frightening and beautiful. She understood the importance of bravery, compassion, and trust, and she knew that these qualities would guide her through any challenges that lay ahead. The mother and daughter had faced a terrifying ordeal, but they emerged stronger, wiser, and more connected than ever. And in the quiet moments of reflection, they felt gratitude for the courage, care, and kindness that had changed their lives forever. Life slowly returned to normal, but the daughter and her mother knew they had been changed forever by what had happened. The fear they had experienced remained a memory, but it was tempered by the lessons of courage, trust, and kindness that had come into their lives. Every morning, as the daughter helped her mother with small chores or prepared breakfast, she felt a quiet pride. They had survived a moment of terror and had grown stronger because of it. The billionaire remained a part of their lives, but he did so with a gentle touch. He never imposed himself, yet his presence was always reassuring. He continued to check in, offering advice, encouragement, and practical support. The daughter looked up to him, not as a figure of wealth or authority alone, but as someone who had shown true courage and compassion. She understood that power and kindness could go hand in hand, and that being brave often meant using your strengths to protect and help others. The mother gradually returned to work, more confident and cautious than before. She shared her experiences with friends and neighbors, spreading awareness about the importance of looking out for one another and seeking help when needed. She also continued teaching her daughter the importance of courage, responsibility, and empathy. The daughter listened carefully, remembering the day she had run through the streets, desperate to find help for her mother. She knew that her actions had mattered, and she wanted to continue acting with the same courage and thoughtfulness in the future. One afternoon, the daughter and her mother received a surprise visit from the billionaire. He brought a few gifts, not extravagant ones, but small items that showed thoughtfulness and care. There were books for the daughter, supplies for the mother, and a few items for their home. But more than the gifts, it was his attention and kindness that mattered most. They shared a quiet meal together, laughing and talking about simple things, creating a sense of family and connection that neither the daughter nor the mother had expected. During their conversation, the billionaire spoke about the importance of courage in daily life. He explained that bravery was not always about facing danger, but sometimes about making the right choices, helping those in need, and standing up for justice. The daughter listened intently, absorbing every word. She realized that her actions had already embodied this lesson, and she felt proud knowing that she had contributed to something important. The mother reflected on the incident and the support they had received. She felt a deep sense of gratitude, not only for her own life but for the lessons her daughter had learned. She understood that the strength and courage of her child had been a crucial part of their survival. The experience had strengthened their bond and had taught them that even in moments of fear, there could be hope, courage, and help if they were willing to seek it. As time passed, the daughter became more confident in herself. She took on more responsibilities at home, helped her mother manage their daily routines, and even assisted in small community efforts to help neighbors and friends. Her bravery and sense of responsibility inspired others, showing that age or size did not limit the ability to make a difference. She remembered the fear she had felt and used it as a reminder that courage was meaningful and necessary. The billionaire encouraged her learning and curiosity, offering guidance on how to make positive choices and continue growing into a strong, compassionate individual. He shared stories of his own experiences, teaching her that even people in positions of power face challenges and must act with integrity and courage. The daughter was fascinated by these stories, realizing that bravery was not only about physical action but also about moral strength, empathy, and careful decision-making. The mother observed these interactions with pride and relief. She knew that her daughter was developing into a thoughtful, courageous young person who would face life's challenges with confidence and care. The experience had bonded them more deeply, and the billionaire's guidance added an extra layer of support that made their lives richer and safer. Over time, the neighborhood itself began to change. The story of the mother's attack and the daughter's bravery spread quietly among neighbors and friends. People became more aware of each other, helping and protecting one another. Small acts of kindness began to ripple through the community, showing that courage and empathy could influence more than just one family. The mother and daughter felt proud to be part of this positive change, understanding that even a single act of bravery could inspire a community. One evening, as the daughter sat by the window looking at the city lights, she reflected on everything that had happened. She thought about the fear, the urgency, the relief, and the lessons learned. She realized that life was unpredictable, and danger could appear at any moment, but the strength of the human spirit, the willingness to act, and the support of those who cared could overcome nearly anything. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the billionaire, who had stepped in without hesitation, and for her mother, whose resilience inspired her daily. The mother joined her, sitting quietly beside her daughter. They held hands, a simple gesture that spoke of love, trust, and the unbreakable bond between them. The daughter shared her thoughts about courage and responsibility, and the mother listened, proud of the maturity and understanding her child had gained. They knew that they were stronger together, and that their shared experiences had prepared them for whatever challenges the future might hold. The billionaire continued to offer guidance and support, but he also allowed them to grow independently. He understood that real help meant empowering others, not creating dependence. The daughter learned from this, understanding that courage included thinking for oneself, making wise decisions, and helping others when possible. She felt inspired to continue acting with bravery and kindness in all aspects of her life. As months passed, the family's life grew steadier and more confident. The mother managed her work with more assurance. The daughter thrived in her studies and responsibilities, and their home became a place of warmth and security. The bond with the billionaire remained, a reminder of the power of compassion, courage, and timely action. The daughter often thought about the day she had run to him, realizing that it had been a defining moment, shaping her understanding of bravery and empathy. The daughter began to dream about the future. She imagined helping others who were in difficult situations, using her courage and the lessons she had learned to make a positive difference. The mother encouraged these dreams, reminding her daughter that her actions mattered and that she could influence the world in meaningful ways. They discussed possibilities for education, community work, and supporting others in need. These conversations gave the daughter a sense of purpose and hope. The billionaire watched their growth with quiet satisfaction. He had seen the impact of courage, empathy, and decisive action firsthand. He understood that his intervention had not only saved a life but had also inspired growth, resilience, and hope. He continued to support them, ensuring that their lives were filled with opportunity, safety, and encouragement. His role was not just to act in crisis, but to provide a foundation for a better future. The daughter, now more confident and thoughtful, began to take small steps in helping others. She shared her experiences with friends and classmates, encouraging them to act bravely and help those in need. She understood that even small actions could make a difference, and that kindness and courage were contagious. She wanted to be a force for good in the world, just as the billionaire had been for her and her mother. The mother, fully recovered, supported these efforts, proud of the young person her daughter was becoming. She understood that the experiences they had faced together had shaped them into stronger, more compassionate individuals. The bond between them was unbreakable, and their shared lessons of bravery and empathy would guide them through all challenges ahead. Life continued, but the memories of that day and the lessons learned remained vivid. The daughter reflected on her journey from fear to courage, from helplessness to action, and from worry to hope. She understood that life's challenges could be overcome with determination, bravery, and the support of caring people. She felt grateful for the billionaire, whose timely action had saved her mother, and for the mother, whose resilience had inspired her. As the daughter grew older, she carried these lessons with her. She faced challenges with confidence, helped others when possible, and inspired those around her with her courage and empathy. The mother continued to provide love and guidance, while the billionaire remained a steady, supportive presence. Together, they had transformed a moment of fear into a lifetime of lessons and hope. The city around them moved on, but for the daughter and her mother, life had been profoundly changed. They understood the value of bravery, kindness, and timely action. They knew that even in moments of fear and uncertainty, courage and compassion could make a difference. The daughter felt a sense of purpose and responsibility, knowing that her actions mattered and that she could contribute to making the world a better place. In the end, the mother, daughter, and billionaire shared a bond that went beyond wealth, status, or circumstance. They had experienced the power of human connection, the impact of courage, and the importance of empathy. Their lives were richer, stronger, and more meaningful because of it. The daughter realized that she had grown into someone capable of bravery, compassion, and leadership, ready to face the world and inspire others along the way. They had survived fear and danger, and in doing so, they had discovered the strength within themselves and the power of caring for one another. Their story was a testament to courage, empathy, and the human spirit. It showed that even in the darkest moments, hope could shine through, and that one person's action could change lives forever. And as the daughter looked toward the future, she knew that she would continue to carry these lessons with her, guiding her, inspiring her, and helping her make the world a better place.